Hello there everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Lone Wolf, and we're starting Book 8. The swamp of something, isn't it? With something swamp. The Jungle of Horrors, no mention of the swamp. The Danarg swamp features quite heavily in this book, and I found it. Kaon is on the map of the Stormlands, so in terms of Magnamund we've got Sommerlund, Durenor, Vasagonia down here, Dessi, the Stormlands, and then the Danarg swamp and surrounding region. Which means the combat chart now gets to go over here this time for this book. Hooray! This is the first book, possibly the only book in the series, where we get these Ogrons, or Gyaks, I'm not sure which, standing proudly holding the banners on either side of the map. The font is significantly different. It's a little more ornate than in the first 6 books, and definitely different to the map font from book 7, which is very blocky. But there we are. And we get to see their fancy armour, lots of rivets and leather and padding, some metal bits, kind of ball and chain arrangement dangling around his waist. And we're going to dive right in. I have not yet selected the new discipline. I have listed under the law circles, I've changed the none so far to a list of every circle with the remaining disciplines I have not yet taken that would complete that circle. And I'll remove them as I take them. And when I complete circles, I will write in the bonuses and then apply them to the top. As we know, at the end of the last book, our backpack was stripped from us and we have been given a new one, because we were told we'd be given a new one at the start of this book. It's a convenient way of ensuring that certain items cannot be used in future books, but doesn't affect our special items in any way, so we still have loads of things from previous books, like the brass whistle for the bird in book 5, the jeweled mace from book 5, a number of large diamonds that we haven't been able to do anything with, at least one. Right, let's see how this book begins. You are the warrior Lone Wolf, last of the Kai masters of Sommerlund and sole survivor of the massacre that destroyed your kinsmen during a bitter war with your age-old enemies, the Darklords of Helgedad. Many centuries have passed since Sun Eagle, the first of your kind, established the Order of the Kai. Aided by the magicians of Dessi, he completed a perilous quest to find 7 crystals of power, known as the Lorestones of Nixator. On discovering them, he unlocked a wisdom and strength that lay within both the Lorestones and himself. He recorded the nature of his discoveries and experiences in a great tome entitled The Book of the Magnakai. You have discovered this lost Kai treasure and have given a solemn pledge to restore the Kai to their former glory, ensuring the security of your land in the years to come. However, your diligent study of this ancient book has enabled you to master only 3 of the 10 Magnakai disciplines. To fulfill your pledge, you must complete the quest first undertaken by Sun Eagle over 1,000 years ago, and find the Lorestones of Nixator. By doing so, you too will acquire the power and wisdom of the Magnakai, which is held within the Lorestone's crystal forms. Already your quest has taken you far from your northern homeland. Following in the footsteps of the first Kai Grand Master, you journeyed to Dessi and sought the help of the Elder Magi, the magicians who aided Sun Eagle on his quest long ago. There you learned that one of the 7 Lorestones was still present in their land, hidden deep within the island stronghold known as Khazan-Ud, Castle Death. In the years since Sun Eagle first came to Dessi, the fortress of Khazan-Ud had become the abode of a great but evil sorcerer named Zada. The Elder Magi, realizing the danger of Zada's increasing power, attempted to destroy Khazan-Ud, but they failed. In desperation, they constructed a prison of energy around the fortress to prevent Zada from ever escaping. Steadily, however, his power grew, and the people of Dessi lived in fear of the day when he would break free and wreak his vengeance upon them. When you resolved to enter Khazan-ud to retrieve the Lorestone, the Elder Magi rejoiced, for the success of your quest would bring about the destruction of Zada and put an end to the bane that had haunted Dessi for hundreds of years. You survived the perils of Castle Death and emerged triumphant, achieving that which the Elder Magi had believed to be impossible. During the victory celebrations held in your honour, you learned that for centuries the Elder Magi had been expecting your coming. An ancient Dessi legend tells of the birth and rise to greatness of two Kai, sons of the sun. One was named Ikar, which means eagle. The other was named Skarn, which means wolf. A prophecy foretold that the Kai would come from the north to seek the counsel of the Elder Magi in order that they might fulfill a great quest. Although separated by several centuries, they would share one spirit, one purpose, and one destiny, to triumph over the champions of darkness in an age of great peril. At the Temple of Truth in Elzian, the magnificent capital city of Dessi, the Elder Magi prepared you for the next stage of your Magnakai quest. Lord Rimoah, the Speaker of the High Council, tutored you in the ancient histories of Magnamund, and you received lessons in lore that you would have learned from your Kai masters, if only they had survived the attack by the murderous Darklords of Helgedad. The Lorestone you must find now lies hidden in a temple in the centre of the Danarg swamp, in the centre of a jungle swamp known as the Danarg. In ancient times, this huge area, once the crater of a massive volcano, was controlled by a powerful lord of evil called Agarash the Damned. Agarash is one of the Darklords of Helgedad also, isn't he, I believe? Either that or he features very heavily in the tail end of this book. The Elder Magi defeated him in a war that lasted 1,000 years, and, in the wake of his destruction, they turned the Danarg crater into a rich and fertile paradise, the perfect setting for their most sacred place of worship, the Temple of Ohrido. The Danarg flourished until a great plague befell the Elder Magi and decimated their race. They were forced to abandon the Danarg and seek refuge in Dessi. Slowly the Danarg was consumed by a creeping mire, which swallowed or poisoned all healthy forms of life. I wonder if the Xeno-Druids were responsible for this, because they seem to spread disease and poison everywhere. The crater became a sanctuary for a host of evil creatures who thrived in the fetid waters, and... oh, American spelling of fetid, I see. They've missed out the O. I think it's after the E, but I can't... I'm pretty sure it's out between the E and the T. Anyway, the crater became a sanctuary for a host of evil creatures who thrived in the fetid waters and fought for control of the treacherous shifting mudflats. Many came from the barren hills of Ogia, but many more awoke from lairs deep beneath the crater, where they had lain dormant since the defeat of their master, Agarash the Damned, 8,000 years ago. Now the time for study has passed, and the time for swift action has arrived. Grim news from the west prompts the Elder Magi to cease their counselling and arrange for your immediate passage to the Danarg. In the Darklord city of Helgedad, a civil war has raged for 5 years following your defeat of Harkon, Archlord of the Black City. Now a new lord sits upon the throne of Helgedad, Darklord Nag of Mosgor. There's an accent over the O, so it's not Mosgor, it's a separate... Mosgor. What is that? I think that's the O. Oh, sound Mosgor. Because the accents, the different shapes of the accents do have different pronunciations. It's just been ages since I looked at them. Like 25 years or 30 years. Anyway. The Darklords are united behind their... The Darklords are united behind their new leader, reports Lord Rimoah solemnly to his fellow elders in the High Council, and they are hungry for conquest and revenge. Their strength grows with each passing day. We dare delay no longer, I believe we got to see a picture of Lord Rimoah at the end of the last book. It was great. Silently, the members of the High Council rise from their seats and turn to face you. No sounds reach your ears, yet the words of their blessing fill your mind. May the gods Ishir and Kai protect you on your journey into darkness, Korskan, they intone. Game rules as usual. Magnakai disciplines. We get one more for completing the last book. I am leaning to... Right. This is in the jungle and the swamp. And I did say I wanted to get animal control or hunt mastery. I'm wanting to get animal control and size screen fairly quickly. I think I want to get size screen either at the end of this book, before the next one. I want size screen for book 9, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember if I want it in book 8 or how much I want it in book 8. This means I have an opportunity to complete the Circle of Fire or Circle of Light now, or at the end of this book, depending on how desperately I want size screen. And I might want it. There was a few times in the previous book where it would have been advantageous to have. Before leaving Dessi on your journey to the Danarg, the Elder Magi give you a map of the jungle swamp and its surrounding lands, and a pouch of gold. It's the usual D10 plus 9 essentially, so let's do that. So, we rolled a 1. No, we rolled a 0. So we just got the 10. But that's okay. Taking us to 25 gold crowns. No less. The Elder Magi offer you a choice of equipment to aid you on your perilous mission. You can take 5 items from the list below, again adding to these, if necessary, any you may already possess. However, remember you can carry a maximum of 2 weapons and 8 backpack items. Now, how to use... Again, I can't find the section telling us that we can store things in the Kai Monastery. No form of currency is used in the Danarg. However, you will be able to use gold crowns during your journey through the lands of Telestria. There, the unit of currency is the loon, but gold crowns are readily accepted at an exchange rate of 4 loons to every 1 gold crown. Did they give us loons or crowns? They gave us gold crowns. But if a gold crown's worth 4 loons and we can only carry 50 coins in the pouch, that's like 12.5 crowns maximum, essentially. It's going to be tricky later on. So we can have a sword, we have one. A bow, we have one. A quiver full of arrows. Now, we appear to have a full quiver again. Rope. You know, it's a very useful item. A potion of lawn spur. Again, a useful item. A mace. A lantern. With a footnote. The lantern is designed to be self-lighting. You will not need a tinderbox or any means of creating a flame to light it. That's lovely, but we do have the fire sphere from Calt. Free meals. Each taken, and free fire seeds, which are special items. We already have free fire seeds. Do each of these count as 1 item to choose? 5 items from the list below. Theoretically, 3 meals is 1 item each taking up a backpack space, and 3 fire seeds is 1 item choice. However, if I take all the food, I can go animal control and complete the circle of light. If I don't take all the food, I could take hunt mastery, complete the circle of fire, and knock off another one from the circle of Solaris. This may be an area in which we cannot hunt. However, we have not been explicitly warned that yet. If I do take it, and it means we can't hunt, there'll still be some benefits to having it. What do I remember from this book? I remember the journey on a boat, a river barge, I believe, with soldiers and a nasty spell that causes someone's face to swell up in huge boils before they die. I think there's a picture of some great big demon. There is an instant in a graveyard that I was looking for all the way through book 6. Because I liked it that much and remembered it that much. Additionally, this book may then end with, I don't think it does, with the thing I thought was at the end of book 6. I think we get to see a sort of projected image of Lord Narg, either in this book or book 9. It is entirely possible that the only times I played this book was when the only 3 books in my possession were books 3, 8, and 9. I'm not entirely certain I have played this book at all since I finally got my hands on book 7 and the earlier books. I may have played it once after obtaining book 7, and only once, and that would have been it. Which means my memories of this book are at least 13 years old, so not as reliable as I'd like to think. Oh, big giant spider, beastman, very boar-like beastman with ringmail armor and a sword coming out of the bushes in a picture. Lots of memories about Lord Pydo, the brilliant shout that is so forceful it can knock someone down. I actually did that once. I knocked a man down with a shout. Caught him quite off guard. And in all fairness, he was 6'8". Okay, he was like a full 12 inches taller than me. I did not do it again. And yeah, I apologised to him. It was fine. He took it very well. He just went down almost like a plank. Just like boom. Although he always walked with a stoop because he was very self-conscious and because he wanted to fit through doorways. So he didn't often stand at his full height. But still, even with the stoop, he was like 6'4", 6'5", Tall fellow. Nice bloke, actually. I haven't seen him in a very long time. I hope he's doing okay. Right. Let's Magnakai Wisdom, just see if we get any warning about not being able to hunt for food in the Danarg. No mention here. Oh well. Right, let's see. I want things and stuff. I have taken that potion of Lormspur, haven't I? And now I would like I know I want animal control. And there are some creatures in this book or the next one. Actually, wait, because this is the last book Gary Chalk illustrated, and it does look more like one of his pictures than it does look like the Brian Collins, was it, or something, who took over from book 9 onwards. So yeah, I think I want that now. Okay. And our pack is feeling very empty, so a meal. If we take all 3 meals, we're going to be pretty well stocked up on food for a lot of the adventure. And so with animal control, we have completed the Circle of Light. So we get the same combat rules as usual. So we've now book 6, 7. Right, complete book 6 to primate, complete book 7 to tutelary, which will matter for upgraded. So if we complete the Circle of Light, we'll gain 3 endurance points, which I will put here for 31. Now that's good because we originally rolled a 2 for endurance points, which was quite a low, but we got an R11 for combat skill, which is pretty impressive. It would be nice to try and get the Circle of Spirit, but that basically would be book 8, 9, 10, 11. We would basically get nothing else from any of the others. Whereas if I'd taken Hunt Mastery, I could be Hunt Mastery and Invisibility for end of this book, end of book 9. So yeah, book 10 or 11 we could complete the Circle of Solaris. Not quite so good on the combat skill, but we could get fire maybe if we grab... Oh yeah, Hunt Mastery next then. No, because we want size screen. Oh, yeah, so we get size screen at the end of book 8. But at the end of book 9 then, if we go Hunt Mastery, we would get the Circle of Fire. End of book 10, Circle of Solaris. And we'd be missing... Yeah, so basically we'd... If we abandon the Circle of Spirit, but we add up all the other 3, we'd be getting 2 combat skill and 8 endurance points, as opposed to 3 combat skill, 3 endurance points, and maybe complete one of the other circles if we're lucky. So it seems like a good deal. And I will transfer the completed circle up to the top. I was going to put it above the nuns so far, but there we go. And if I put dashes here to remind me that I am missing these, they are minus. They are incomplete circles, and we will save this now. So, animal control. Primates with this Magnakai discipline will be able to repel an animal that is intent on harming them by blocking its sense of taste and smell. The level of success is dependent on the size and ferocity of the animal. We are already aware of the curing primate ability, and because from a previous book, tutelary. Tutelaries are able to use defensive combat skills to great effect when fighting unarmed. When entering combat without a weapon, you will lose only 2 points from your combat skill instead of the usual 4. I will make a note of this down below. Invisibility, pathsmanship. Did we? I think we did, didn't we? We did indeed. Tutelaries of this skill can detect an enemy ambush from 500 yards of their position unless their endurance score is low due to wounds sustained or lack of food. Tutelaries with divination are able to recognize objects or creatures with magical skills or abilities, although they may not be able to if the creature or object is shielded from detection. And I believe, additionally, we gain another weapon for the weapon mastery. For every book that you complete in the Magnakai series, you may add an additional weapon to your weapon mastery checklist. Yeah, so what have we got so far? Dagger, bow, sword. Fair enough. We have been getting a lot of maces recently. Spear could be good, because we do get the occasional magic spear. In all fairness, we're probably just going to rely on the summer sword and the silver bow you add on most of the time. There is, I think, one instant in Book 8 or Book 9 where having the Dagger of Vashna on our person will be very useful. But that's about all I remember. Lone Wolf started with an axe. We could just grab that. He's had a lot of practice of it. Sure. Axe, bow, dagger, sword is our list. Free weapons for Book 6. We've completed Book 7. We're playing Book 8. We haven't completed it yet. Okay, that adds up. And we've reached the rank of tutelary, which means 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we'll reach Archmaster by the end of the series. And then we get on to Series 13 onwards. Additionally, of course, I have for a long time possessed the Lone Wolf computer game, the new one, which is set sometime after the 12 books of Lone Wolf. It's either set at some point during the Grandmaster series or between Book 12 and before Book 13. So I'm not sure if it's in between the Magnakai series and the Grandmaster series, or at some point during the Grandmaster series or after the Grandmaster series. I'm aware that in it Lone Wolf looks nothing like Lone Wolf. He looks like some man from Australia with a huge axe. And it was very disappointing to find out that after all the journalists and interviewers had been calling him Huge Axeman for a very long time, his name was actually just Hugh Jackman, not Hugh Jacksman. And he didn't have a massive axe. Although that is the reason why the Limbo Eternal War board game will have a powerful demon with a large axe. Can't remember his name, but one of his special skill abilities is Huge Axeman. Oh, great stuff. Anyway, so we get to the Lore Circles of the Magnakai. We have finally completed one. I know a lot of you wanted me to go Circle of the Spirit. It's a little too exclusive and very narrowly focused, though, and I don't generally go for weapon skill or Mind Blast in the series, because you can get so many other bonuses that add up to it from other things, like shield, magic helmet, and so on. However, a number of you have hinted rather strongly that the books in the Magnakai series become far more dangerous if you do have the Summer Sword and powerful foes are arrayed against you. As I said, I can't entirely... Well, which is good, because the Summer Sword trivializes the normal combat due to its massive combat skill bonus. So it does feel like there's a very large power gap between normal foes and important special foes that you would not need to face without it, because you'd be having a hard enough time with everything else as it is. So having improved disciplines, Magnakai Wisdom. The quest for the Lorestone of Ohrido will be fraught with danger, for the temple in which it lies is situated deep within the Danarg. Make notes of your progress through the story. They will be of great help in this and future adventures. The other thing is, we could have just ignored the food, ignored the meals, and just take it all on the curing to keep replenishing the malnourishment. Many things that you find will help you during your adventure. Some special items will be of use in future lone wolf adventures, and others may be red herrings of no real use at all. So be selective in what you decide to keep, except there's no limit to the amount of special items you can keep, so you can just have the bloody lot. Choose your Magnakai disciplines with care, for a wise choice enables any player to complete the quest, no matter how weak their initial combat skill and endurance points scores, unless you're playing Book 2, where you need to do a ridiculously hard fight just to get the silver... Well, sorry, unless you're playing the original version of Book 2. Let's put it that way, yeah? Yeah. And if you get the silver spear, you don't need it. Unless you ignore a clue, but yeah. Successful completion of previous lone wolf adventures, although an advantage, is not essential for the completion of this Magnakai adventure. I can attest to that. I completed it many times years ago without the Summer Sword. I have not played it recently, so we'll see how it goes. May the spirit of your ancestors guide you on the path of the Magnakai. Good luck. You leave Elzian under cover of darkness on a trading ship bound for Garfen. It is a trim vessel, lean-prowed and simple in design, one of 1,000 such ships that sail the chain of land-blocked seas and lakes dividing the northern and southern continents of Magnamund. Its passage along this great waterway, called the Tentarius, is unlikely to invite undue attention, and it is for this reason that the Elder Magi have placed you aboard. The nature of your voyage is secret, but you are not alone, for a guide has been chosen to accompany you on your dangerous mission. His name is Paido, a tall, ebony-skinned vaqueros who is a master of the art of battle magic. Among his fellow warriors he is a high-ranking lord, respected and honoured for his bravery and skill on the field of battle. Now for the mission that lies ahead, he has exchanged his gold and scarlet robes for the clothes of a commoner, a roving adventurer with a sword for hire. It is a disguise you too have adopted to veil your true identity on the long voyage to the land of Talestria, where a rendezvous with royalty awaits you. Let's do that again. Where a rendezvous with royalty awaits you. You sail westwards, a benevolent wind filling the triangular sail and skimming the ship across the still blue waters. The hull seems to slide over the surface of the water rather than cut its way through, and you cannot help but wonder if Paido has conjured some magic to speed your passage. Your first port of call is the city of Talon, where food stocks and fresh water are replenished. Then the voyage continues along the Tentarius to the port of Ohrido, the last stopping place before your ship-bound journey ends at Garfen, crown capital of Talestria. It is an hour past midnight when you dock at Vaqueros harbour in Garfen, a sprawling network of quays and cracked stone jetties that shelter great fleets of merchants, traders, and dhows. Silent like a shadow, you disembark and follow Paido through the twisting harbour streets, slowly climbing the steep stairs that connect one level of Garfen to the next. Rusty lanterns cast pools of yellow light. Yeah, those light-emitting ladders. They're so difficult to climb, you keep having to close your eyes. Rusty lanterns cast pools of yellow light beneath the timbered balconies, illuminating the stalls of merchants and vendors who will haggle, brag, and barter in the crowded streets till dawn. Paido halts at an iron-shod door and raps the grille with the hilt of his blue steel sword. A man's face appears, stern and handsome, with smooth dark hair and keen, intelligent eyes. A smile of recognition softens his lordly features when he sees Paido. In an instant the door swings open, and you are ushered inside. The man's name is Adamas, Lord Constable of the Royal Citadel, protector and cousin of Queen Yvain of Talestria. For centuries, a strong bond of friendship has existed between the royal household and the magicians of Dessi, and when called upon by the Elder Magi to help you in your quest, Queen Yvain pledged her support without hesitation. She has volunteered the services of Lord Adamas, who is to ensure your safe and unhindered passage through Talestria to the borders of the Danarg. At dawn, after snatching a few hours' sleep, you are taken by coach to the East City Wharf, where an empty corn barge is waiting to ferry you upriver. Haulage is provided by 8 large gorkas, hairy ox-like creatures from the plains of Slovia, which are harnessed to the barge by chains. They lumber down the cobbled towpath, continually kept in line by the stinging lash of the barge owner's Zulhide whip. The next day the barge arrives at a small river village called Lona, where a detachment of Lord Adamas's cavalry, resplendent in surcoats of scarlet and grey, provide you with horses for the cross-country journey to the fortified city of Foina. I believe Slovia is in the Stormlands. We have Eldenora. Isn't Slovia up here somewhere? I may be completely wrong. Okay. However, Foina. Aha! So it would have been... Because there's some overlap, right? This is Suentina, Nicatia. No. This aligns with this somewhere. So we have Tentarius somewhere, come from somewhere south that is off these maps that may very well feature in a future book. So we're now heading up towards Tharro and Sayada. Pretty sure that's a Y and not an M, but hang on, let's find another M. Ooh, okay, no, Smarda. At which point we'll then probably diverge into the Great Danarg itself. I doubt we're going as far as Luros, but we may. Ill news greets you in Foina, the city of triple towers. Oh, do it again. Ill news greets you in Foina, the city of triple towers. Zegron, warlord of Zanar, ruler of the barren highlands of Ogia, has amassed an army of Drakarim warriors. 3 days ago they attacked... No, Drakarim, right? Because it's the Drakar. Anyways, an army of Drakarim warriors. 3 days ago, they attacked the border town of Lukos to the north. W, so Lukos. The Telestrian garrison put up a brave and spirited defence, but they were hopelessly outnumbered by the bloodthirsty Ogian horde that drove through the... I ran out of breath. The Telestrian garrison put up a brave and spirited defence, but they were hopelessly outnumbered by the bloodthirsty Ogian horde that drove through the perimeter walls with battering rams and engines of war. The Drakarim razed Lukos to the ground, and only a handful of survivors escaped to tell of the dreadful battle. And what great shields we have here. Look at that, it's a very ferocious-looking sort of horse, lion, lizard-like image. And this demonic shield here as well. Ooh. The situation is grave, reports Lord Adamas on returning from an emergency conclave of his fellow Telestrian knights. For decades, Zegron and his minions, not Zekron. For decades, Zegron and his minions have raided our northern territories, but never before with such determination and strength. We must mobilize our army for war, for it is war that Ogia has invited by its unforgivable attack on Lukos. I must return to Garthen to muster my retainers in preparation for battle and inform the Queen of the evil that threatens her realm. I can no longer escort you to the Danarg, for your quest must proceed in spite of all that conspires against it. He sends for his scribe, who arrives with helpers laden with the paraphernalia of his craft. He dictates an order of safe conduct and sets the impression of his signet ring on the hot wax seal before passing the parchment to you. I seem to remember that this is somewhat useful, but at least one place it is completely disregarded, and the person who looks at it goes, yes, so what? Our northern people are a frontier breed, wary and suspicious of strangers. If challenged, show this pass, and your safe passage will be assured by all who are loyal to Queen Yvain. Mark this pass on your action chart as a special item which you carry tucked inside your tunic. So this is the Order of Safe Conduct. of Telestria. Here we go. Early next morning, Lord Adamus accompanies you and Pydo to the main square of Foina. It is from here that your quest begins. The first leg of your journey to the Danarg will take you north of the town to Tharro, which nestles in the fertile uplands of Telestria. There are 2 ways to reach the town. You can travel by road, or you can take a barge along the River Foin. Consult your map before deciding which route to take. We can go by barge or along the Great North Road. Now, we shouldn't go waving our free pass around willy-nilly at everyone. We should only use it if we are challenged. I seem to recall the boat journey the most from this one, so I think I'll take that. There will be a lot of people on the barge, but we'll be able to theoretically get some privacy or have some control over who we interact with. Along the road, there could be spies watching the road. If spies are watching the barge, they'll just see the outside of the boat. There needs to be spies on the barge. So, the Dracarum are here by Lukos already and could have moved on somewhere else. They could be heading for Smarda. I suspect they're heading for the Lorestone in the Danarg swamp, or they know I'm in the area and seek to thwart me. I also suspect this is not their only reason for being here, and they're up to something else as well. So they may head on towards Bryona. We may hear, on the road we're more likely to hear what they're up to, because we can meet travellers. On the boat we're more likely to avoid trouble that we would meet on the road from them. I doubt they have spies on the boat this early on, and this chair needs to be raised. One moment. That's much better on my knees. Now, I don't think the person who disrespects it destroys it, necessarily. But old memories, right? Like almost half my life. So we'll see how it goes. You and Paizo bid farewell to Lord Adamus and spur your horses along the wide paved street towards the city's gatehouse. The wagon-worn highway leads to the village of Shah, a small wood-walled enclave of fishermen and bargees, built around a great stone bridge which spans the River Foin. You leave the highway and follow a twisting path down to the river's edge. There a barge is ready to leave for Tharro. Its team of Gorkas are harnessed, and the crew are preparing to cast off the thick rope horses securing the barge to the quay. The captain sees you approach and calls out to his men, "Hold fast, lads! Looks like we've 2 more for Tharro." A gangplank is lowered and the crew guide your horses aboard. As you dismount, the captain strides along the bleached wood deck and greets you like an old friend, shaking both of you warmly by the hand. "Lord Adamus sent word to expect 2 riders for this trip, though I'd almost given up waiting for you to show. He's paid your fares and said you may be wanting some privacy. Because you're not Americans, otherwise you'd want privacy. He's paid your fares and said you might be wanting some privacy, so I've set aside a cabin at the stern. My lads will see to your horses." The captain points to the rear of the barge, where 2 sets of stairs descend below the deck. "Take the stairs to your left. Your cabin is the door at the end of the gangway. If you be wanting some food or ale, there's a tap room on the hold. Just take the stairs to the right." So, if we inspect the cabin, can we go to the tap room after? Or do we have to go there, then go to... Well, left is best, but we're not given directions, we're given locations. Sure. 53... Don't know, that's... No choices. Oh god, don't drink Boree's brew, it'll blow your fucking head off. That's the stuff the dwarfs drink. Right, and I know we got the discipline of curing, but even Lone Wolf is not quite that tough. Let's go look at our cabin then. Many years ago, this craft sailed the Tentarius, carrying cargoes of corn and linen to markets in the east. We could theoretically get a meal for the night in the bar. Now low and leaky, it serves in retirement as a ferry for the farmers and settlers in the north. The cabin was once luxurious, but it is now a clustered mess of decaying junk. The sweet smell of pitch and damp timber hangs in the air, and patches of mould colour the walls. Lying on a solitary bunk amongst a tangle of leather straps, rope, and torn clothing is a cork-stoppered flask of purple liquid. We can pull the cork and sniff the contents. You recognise the delicious aroma. This purple liquid is a liqueur made from the fruit of the lanoma tree. I keep wanting to call it lanoma for some reason. It is very nutritious, and each draught will restore 3 endurance points, which, when consumed, there are enough for 2 draughts. If you wish to keep the flask, record it in your action chart as a backpack item. Sure, okay. Liqueur. Okay. Is it EUR for liquor? It is. Right, yeah. It's a foreign word, that's why it breaks rules. Enough for 2 doses. The cloying smell of your cabin is unbearable, and soon forces you to return to the deck to clear your lungs. From there you see the captain walking along the river bank, inspecting his team of long-haired Gorkas. Stoically they haul the barge upstream, rarely faltering as they tread the rutted and potholed towpath. Beyond the bank lies an incredible array of colourful wild flowers, scarlet lankpetal, yellow podlooms, and violet mellow roots of towering proportions. Their perfume soon dispels the lingering odour in the cabin. The colourful fields suddenly give way to rolling acres of grassy plain, and gradually the sky grows darker, until just a slender streak of light fringes the horizon. It is not long before a roll of thunder echoes across the plain. "Storm's brewing!" shouts the captain. "Storm's brewing!" shouts the captain as the first drops of rain splash the deck. "You two best take shelter below." You balk at the thought of returning to the dank and dismal cabin. Pydo suggests a visit to the tap room and offers to buy you an ale. It is an offer that sounds too good to refuse. And here we are back at the tap room. The hold is crowded with travellers on their way north. For most it is a regular journey home after selling their wares in Foina. Their purses are full and their mood is friendly as they pass the time drinking and playing games of chance. One of the crew glances up from serving and wipes his hands on his apron blah! One of the crew glances up from serving and, wiping his hands on his apron, hurries over to welcome you to the floating tavern. He points to a plank table at the far end of the hold that is bowed beneath the weight of several kegs of ale and platters of food. He asks if you would care for some refreshment. 2 jugs of ale, replies Pydo, reaching for his pouch of coins. Certainly, sir, replies the bargee. Certainly, sir, replies the bargee in a servile tone. I have 3 fine ales to delight your palates. Farina Nog, Chai Cheer, and Boar Brew. Pydo chooses a jug of Farina Nog. Which ale will you choose? We don't know what Farina Nog is, but it's the one he's chosen, so either he likes it or it's the safest. Chai Cheer might be cheer us up a bit. Boar Brew is like Bugman's 8X. And I don't mean Bugman's 6X. I mean the legendary Bugman's 8X me and my mates used to joke about back in the 90s. Even stronger than Bugman's 6X, the one dwarfs really want to find and get hold of, but it's so rare. It's the kind of stuff that, well, yeah, very strong alcohol. So, the Dwarfs of Bor are the only nation in Magnamund to have the knowledge of how to create gunpowder. And we learned in book 4 or 5 that they are very heavy drinkers. If this is the stuff they drink, we probably shouldn't touch it. I believe, if memory is correct, if we drink it, we'll pass out. I'm not sure we'll get robbed because Lord Pydo's here to look after us. We might get mocked a bit. We might feel bad afterwards. Let's go with the Farina Nog, because at least we know he doesn't think there's anything bad about it. The ale is weak and watery, but serves to quench your thirst. Pydo takes a great mouthful and immediately spits it out in disgust, wiping away its insipid taste on the sleeve of his tunic. "Bilge juice!" he splutters, slamming down his mug. "You should be a sight more careful where you empty your mouth, stranger," growls a man seated to your right. He bends down and picks up his polished steel helmet. With a slow and deliberate twist of his wrist, he empties it of ale, pouring the contents all over Pydo's feet. Your companion curses and reaches instinctively for his sword. Let's take action to stop a fight breaking out. Maybe we can offer to buy the guy a drink, cheer things up, turn it into a party, and we may live to regret it if we do start a fight now. We're on a covert mission. We're not here to draw attention to ourselves. You grab hold of Pydo's sword arm and tell him to cool his temper. The man is wearing a red surcoat embroidered with a crest depicting a castle and an open hand. It is the uniform of the Tharro garrison, the town we are headed towards, meaning when we get there he could get us in a lot of trouble if he wanted to. Quietly, you advise Pydo that a brawl with this man could endanger your quest. Pydo relaxes and apologizes to the soldier, offering to buy him an ale to make amends. The man accepts the offer, but on one condition, that the ale is not Farina Nog. And there's our first picture of the book. He's like, yeah, fine, but not that stuff. If you spat it out, why the hell are you going to put it in my mouth? And I've already got a helmet full of it. Let's have something else. Probably not the boar brew, so it'll be the other one. The Bargi brings a round of chai cheer to your table, and you drink to the health of Queen Yvain of Telestria. The mood soon becomes much friendlier, and you learn that the soldier, whose name is Trost, is on his way back to his post at the Tharro garrison after enjoying a week's leave with his family in Foina. As you drink your ale, the sound of applause rises over the hubbub of conversation. An elderly man, tall and distinguished-looking, walks slowly to the centre of the floor and bows to his audience. His pale face and silver-grey hair are a stark contrast to his richly embroidered robes of crimson and gold. He smiles warmly and introduces himself as Count Conundrum, the Prince of Puzzles. For your amusement, he will pose some brain-twisting conundrums. So confident is he that none will be able to answer his riddles correctly that he is offering 20 loons to anyone who can prove him wrong. A hush descends as the passengers await his first puzzle. I have 1.5 geese. If 1.5 geese lay 1.5 eggs in 1.5 days, how many eggs will 3 geese lay in 8 days? If 1.5 geese lay 1.5 eggs in 1.5 days, it's that and 1.5 days. Right, so hang on. But here's the thing. If 1 goose lays 1 egg in 1.5 days, no. Hang on, wait. If 1 goose lays 1 egg in 1.5 days, bear with me on this. If 1 goose lays 1 egg in 1.5 days, and 1.5 geese lay 1.5 in 1.5 days, because we got this 1.5, right? Do you see the problem I'm having here? So the obvious thing would be 3 times 8 is 24, right? But it's not, is it? Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. Ha! Right. Because we just double it to 3, right? So 3 geese lay 3 eggs in 1.5 days. So free geese lay 6 eggs in 6 days. Wait, no. Free geese lay 3 eggs in 1.5 days. 6 eggs in 3 days. Yeah? Because we're changing the amount of geese, we're not changing the 1.5 days, right? So we're just doubling this. So 3 eggs in a day and a half. So 2 eggs a day. 2 eggs are 16, right? Yeah? I know it's 3:30 in the morning, but I may have solved it. You call out the answer, and at first the man pretends not to hear. This is the correct answer to the riddle from section 126, the one from which we just came. Hurriedly, he begins to pose a second puzzle, but the crowd shout him down, insisting that he answer your call. Lucky guess, he says, a little flustered at the thought of losing 20 loons. Perhaps your friend can explain how he arrived at his answer. You reply that the answer is simple. If 1.5 geese lay 1.5 eggs in 1.5 days, it therefore follows that 3 geese would lay 3 eggs in 1.5 days, or 2 eggs in 1 day. Thus, in 8 days, 3 geese would lay 16 eggs. So, the exact way I came to the exact way I came to the same conclusion. Perfect. The crowd applaud your display of logic, much to the chagrin of Count Conundrum, who parts reluctantly with 20 loons. Record the loons in the belt pouch section of your action chart. 20 loons take up the same space as 5 gold crowns. Okay, so they are smaller coins. So it's not a 45 coins towards the 50 limit, it's essentially 30 coins towards the 50 limit. So yeah, if a gold crown's like a pound coin, and silver loon is like a 5p piece. Very well, says Count Conundrum. This will make our journey to Tharro a little more interesting. If there is anyone here who can answer my next puzzle correctly, you will receive from me 40 loons. A chorus of delighted whispers emanates from the crowd. In winter, he begins, the ice lilies of Lake Adon double in area every 24 hours. It takes 60 days from the time the first ice lily appears until the lake is completely covered with them. On what day is the lake half covered with lilies? If you can answer the ice riddle, turn to the entry with the same number as your answer. If you make a guess, the section corresponding to the correct answer will have a footnote, confirming that it is indeed correct. It takes... Right, we don't know what the number that doubles is, okay? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's 59, isn't it? Because on the 59th day, it will be half of the lake, which will then double to the whole lake. A dumb answer, because you'd think it would be somewhere around, you'd be like 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8, until you get all the way up to whatever you get on the 60th. So actually, if it's literally just doubling every day, it's 59, isn't it? Ooh. What little colour there is in the Count's already pallid face drains away. The crowd hoots with delight as he nods his head slowly to affirm that your answer is correct. As the ice lilies double in number each day, the lake is half covered on the day before it is fully covered. Begrudging you, the Count hands over your prize, 40 loons. Record the loons in your belt pouch, and they occupy the same space as 10 gold crowns. So, these will matter So essentially we're now at 40 of our 50 coin limit. Oof. And finally, for my last puzzle, I offer this beautiful treasure, he says as he draws a small silver box inlaid with pearls from the pockets of his robes. This priceless artifact was stolen from the treasure hoard of Valborg the Enchanter, he exclaims. On hearing this wondrous revelation, the tap room comes alive with excited chatter. You're inclined to disbelieve the tale of the box's origin, but nonetheless it is a beautiful object, and is undoubtedly worth at least 100 loons, perhaps more, and that's just the box. Silence descends on the hall as all wait for Count's final puzzle. When I was last in the market of Garfen, the Count begins, I asked an egg trader how many eggs he had sold that day. He replied, "My first customer said that he would buy half my eggs, and half an egg more. My second and third customers said exactly the same thing. When I had filled all 3 orders, I was completely sold out of eggs, yet I hadn't broken a single egg all day. How many eggs had the egg trader sold in all?" Okay, this is going to be a tricky one, isn't it? I want to check, does turn to the entry number go to the... It does, perfect. I wasn't expecting it to be a shortcut to the answer. I was just wondering if it was a shortcut to the table of contents instead of me having to go to there. And then, it's saving a click, right? So, first is half, second is a quarter, third is and half an egg more. Here's a problem. Oh, no, it's not a problem. Okay. So half the eggs is... It's an odd number of eggs. Right? So if it's 9, half the eggs is 4.5 eggs. Right? Because he's taking half an egg more than half the eggs. Which leaves us with another odd number, which goes through the same division. So if it's 5... Hang on. Here's the thing, right? If half the number of eggs and half an egg more is what the third final customer gets, that's 1 egg, right? Because that's the only way he sells all the eggs. Okay? So we end with blah, blah, 1 egg, right? So then we have 3 eggs, right? 3 left buys... So, 1 left buys 1. 3 left buys 2. Which means 7? 7 buys 4, which should leave 3. Yeah, so 7 eggs, right? That's a very low number, and it could be higher, but let's try it. This feels so dumb. 7. The Count looks flabbergasted when you call out the correct answer. He's probably going to hunt us down and try and do us in backstage afterwards. Dejected, he hands over the beautiful silver box and quietly leaves the hold, oblivious to the cheers of the passengers who have seen him meet his match at last. If you wish to keep the silver box, mark it in your action chart as a backpack item. I shall. Whew. "Honey Lodge!" shouts the Bargee. 5 minutes to Honey Lodge! A group of farmers near you gather up their belongings, say farewell to their travelling companions, and begin climbing the taproom stairs as the barge slows to a halt. We could go up on deck and watch them disembark, or stay in the taproom. If we stay in the taproom, you might come get us now that we're alone. But you know what? I think this is a good point to end the episode. I've been very successful, and I think it'd be wise to leave it here. Plus, I've got a picture I can use for the episode thumbnail. It's all good. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you all next time, where I will make the exciting decision of going up to watch the farmers get off the barge, or staying in the taproom. Is Honey Lodge on the map? No. So it's just somewhere along this way. So we don't know how far along we are yet. But we do know how long it'll be till the next episode. About a week, unless I get excited and do a bonus episode at some point. Right. Well, I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'll say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone. See you all soon.